Thanks for downloading this podcast from the American Institute of Architecture students. For more information on our organization, please go to www.aias.org.
Hi everyone.
Ciao.
So a little background information. We're doing another podcast from a train because we actually had a great podcast when we were in Torino, Italy, but someone deleted it.
That would be me.
But just to recap, the reason why we're in Italy...
It was an accident, though. We should clarify that.
It was an accident, of course. But we're in Italy because we just recently attended the UIA World Congress of Architecture, which was held here in Torino, and just ended actually today.
It did, and the UIA stands for the International Union of Architects.
But in French. Of
course, which is a coalition of hundreds of countries around the world who come together through their professional associations to talk about architecture.
So you'd be a member of the UIA if you were a member of the AIA, the United States.
Correct. And this year the AIA has invited all of the collateral organizations of architecture in the United States to travel with them here to Torino and be part of the U.S. delegation to the conference.
But because we don't really have that video anymore, we're going to do it a little bit differently, and we're going to talk, but you're going to see different slides, different photographs through the event. But it was great that we as the AIS and as students representing the United States were actually able to participate with different events.
For example, we participated on a panel of young architects student associations from across the world. There were people there from Spain, sorry, we're distracted here by the train announcements. We're on a train right now from Torino to Milan. So there were people there from all over Italy, from Spain, from China, from a few other countries, and they were all talking about their associations and the work that they're doing. We should say, though, that the AIS is actually the most solid and the longest lasting of all the associations that were there, and a lot of the groups are looking to us as examples of how they can structure their organization, so they were very excited to hear about AIAS.
And they actually noted that for us to be around for 50-something years, 52 years, and actually have our own office, governance structure, members, dues, websites, podcasts, everything. They were really impressed, particularly how we reach out to all of you and kind of the network that we have with over 7,000 members, or over about 7,000 members participating.
Yeah.
A lot of them thought that was really special.
Yeah. Well, Tony, why don't we cue up the slideshow for everyone to see what our week was like here in Torino, and as we cue that up, we'll leave you with a rolling image of the train in between Torino and Milan. Sound good?
Actually, one thing that we should explain, though, some of the photographs at the end, you'll see Andrew has a little bit of makeup on, and that we're at a party. One thing we should say, because I like architecture history, and if you watch the one from the AIA headquarters, I told a little bit about that. But the building that the event was held in is called the Lingotto. In its history, it was built in the 30s, I think 1932, as the factory for Fiat. And on top, you'll see that there's a little test track. And back in the day, they were able to drive up the little cars that they just built and race it on top and test out the cars right on top of the building. So what better functional architecture than to have a test track for an automotive company? So you'll see that. You'll see Andrew has a little bit of makeup too. I think we'll have that photo in. And we were at a reception for Durban, South Africa, one of the two cities bidding for the 2014 Congress. They were going up against Singapore. And in 2011, we should note, if any of you are interested, the event will be held in Tokyo. So hopefully we'll see some of you there, maybe.
Yep.
I don't know. But we'll definitely see many of you at Grassroots.
Yep, in 2 weeks in Washington, D.C., and we're looking forward to meeting all the chapter leaders from across the country. And I know JW and Deanna, our new president and vice president, who will take over at that conference, are planning a great event for all of our student leaders.
So with that, we'll say arrivederci. Ciao.
Ciao. And enjoy the slideshow, which we'll be narrating as you watch.
Or something.
Or something.
We'll figure it out.
And we'll leave you with the last picture of somewhere in between Torino and Milan.
Roll. You have to stop. Well, the first video you see is the last shot of our podcast that we recorded on top of the Torino Conference Center. Andrew's obviously wearing a little bit of makeup from that event that we told you about. But can you tell him a little bit about Torino? Because we're going through a lot of footage of Olympic-y stuff.
Sure, Torino was really great, and that party was especially great because it was a party for the South African bid for the 2014 World Congress, which we now know won. So I was wearing makeup that day because they were celebrating South Africa and their bid for the 2014 World Congress.
Yeah,
but Torino was great. And Tony, why don't you fill in on some of the things we did while we were there?
Well, unfortunately, you just saw some photos of how unwelcoming the event was. Just some interesting pictures of Mike, poorly alone, sadly, trying to get help where he couldn't find any. But we're going through pictures of another event, the opening reception that was at the Old Palace in Torino, which, of course, was a little interesting as well, meeting from people around the world. Oh, yep, those are the pictures of the South Africa party right there that Andrew was just talking about. Oh, and of course, go ahead.
For those of you who are watching along with us, you should note that I am currently not watching the slideshow. I am in England calling in for the podcast.
And you just saw some pictures of Andrew, sadly, alone. We had a great AIS presence at several events. We had the opportunity to present twice, as well as had pamphlets and stuff all over the place. Ooh, now we're showing pictures of the general business session.
Well, the general business session was really interesting. There were over 100 countries in attendance, all of which are part of the International Union of Architects. And we talked about a lot of issues, from international education to international licensure, and some of the major challenges that are facing us as a global community.
Oh, and you just saw pictures of us trying to do the AIS budget from abroad. You saw also a picture of wine that sustained us through that process. So while we were abroad, we were still doing AIS work. Oh, and Mike's now lost. And, of course, we did have a great time in Italy as well. We had an opportunity to look around. I actually think we lost Andrew, but that last picture right there of baggage claim was, yes, I went a couple days without clothes, so I had to kind of impromptu some wardrobe. And, of course, that's us having fun in Torino.
It was a really great experience to see not only students, but also young architects from all over the world, and to talk to them about what the process is like to become an architect in their country.
Absolutely. I think we lost you for a few moments in the middle, or you just went really silent, but that's our quick little slideshow. If you had any questions, feel free to contact us. We've actually moved along. Andrew is now past president at AIS.org, and I'm T. Vanke at AIS.org, because past vice president was just too long. But we had a great time, and as you can see, the AIS was well represented abroad.
It was, and we always enjoy serving you guys in a global context, because that's where we're all going to be practicing.
So with that, we sign off with our Torino podcast. Signing off from here in Washington and
from here in Oxford, England.
So Andrew gets to go back. But in any case, thank you all for listening. Maybe we'll try to do one last podcast. But really, now it's JW and Deanna's show. So maybe they'll come up with a wittier name than ours. So with that,
all right.
Signing off.
Everyone take care, and good luck as you start your new school year, and we will all be in touch.
All right, bon chance. Good luck.
Thanks again for listening. This has been a production of the American Institute of Architecture students.